The sky over Geneva shimmered with static as the alien transmission overrode every human network. Streets went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. A face appeared, elongated, scaled, eyes like burning amber. Archlord XYRR of the Concordium. His voice was smooth, layered with echoing undertones that made human ears ache. Humanity of soul. You stand accused of defiance, hoarding technologies forbidden by galactic law. Surrender your sovereignty. Submit your fleets. Failure to comply will result in the sterilization of your world. The broadcast ended. Silence returned, heavy, suffocating. Inside the subterranean war room beneath Lake Geneva, Commander Elias Rourke stood among the chaos. Holographic displays pulsed with alerts. The room smelled of ozone and fear. President Nadir spoke first, voice trembling. They've blockaded the Soul Gate. We can't move ships in or out. Then we fight here, Rourke said simply. Heads turned. Diplomats, strategists, ministers, all looked at him as if he'd spoken blasphemy. Commander, you can't mean. I do, Rourke interrupted. They've already decided. That broadcast wasn't an offer. It was a countdown. Admiral Tessa Yuan leaned over the map table, eyes fierce. Fleet strength? 37 operational destroyers. 2 carriers. 1 dreadnought, if we can finish the refit. Against the Concordium Armada, muttered one of the ministers. You'll lead billions to their deaths. Rourke's gaze hardened. Then we make sure the galaxy remembers how we died. The lights dimmed as an officer ran in, breathless. Incoming signal, Concordium fleet emerging near Neptune. Estimated, 200 vessels. President Nadir's knuckles whitened on the table. Is there any chance of negotiation? Rourke stepped forward, voice steady but carrying steel. We tried negotiation. They heard hesitation. It's time they hear resolve. He turned to Yuan. Get me Titan command. I want the Resolute flight ready in 6 hours. Later, aboard the U.S. Resolute. The warship's corridors thrummed with power as engineers ran diagnostics and loaded railgun slugs into the forward magazines. The ship smelled like oil and metal, the scent of readiness. Rourke entered the bridge, where holographic displays floated like ghosts. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Duval, saluted. Sir, comm systems online. Fleet coordination uplink stable. Good, Rourke said, settling into the command chair. Send out this message, Priority Alpha. He dictated slowly. To all human forces, the Concordium has declared war. Earth does not surrender. You are authorized to defend humanity by any means necessary. The line is here, and we are the line. Duval hesitated. You sure about this, sir? Once it's sent, there's no going back. Rourke looked through the viewport, where Jupiter's storms glowed like burning eyes. They started this war believing we'd kneel. Let's teach them we stand. Hours later, Neptune orbit. The first contact came without warning. Human radar picked up shadows, massive Concordium dreadnoughts emerging from subspace, dark hulls swallowing the light. The Resolute and its escort frigates formed up, weapons charged. Target lock on primary vessel, Duval reported. Hold fire, Rourke ordered. Let's see what they do. A beam of energy lanced across the void, vaporizing the lead human ship in an instant. That's what they do, Rourke muttered. All batteries, return fire! Space lit up. Dozens of railgun rounds streaked toward the alien ships, tearing across the stars like streaks of lightning. Shields flared. The Resolute shuddered under counterfire. Shields at 60%. Reactor stable. Enemy formation adjusting. 2 flanking wings incoming. Rourke clenched his jaw. Divert auxiliary power. Push us forward. Close range. Sir, we'll be in their kill zone. Exactly. The Resolute surged ahead, weaving through the debris field. Alien plasma fire grazed the hull, melting armor. Rourke's eyes tracked movement on the tactical display. Now. Fire point defense, target their reactor signatures. Dozens of human missiles erupted from the ship's belly, twisting unpredictably, human-made chaos in perfect synchronization. 2 alien cruisers detonated in brilliant blue fire. The bridge crew erupted in cheers. Rourke didn't smile. "That's the first of many," he said quietly. "And they'll be back." He stood, looking out into the endless dark. "Transmit this to Earth Command. The war has begun." The news spread faster than light. Within a single Terran hour, every human world, from the icy mining domes of Europa to the floating arcologies above Venus, had seen the footage. The Resolutes stand against 200 alien ships, and the moment humanity struck back. For the first time in centuries, humanity wasn't arguing, trading, or retreating. It was uniting. The calm before the storm. Inside the orbital fortress Sol Station Prime, Earth's last line of defense, Commander Elias Rourke stood before a panoramic window showing the blue marble of home. Fleets were forming below, silver crescents of ships rising from ocean docks, rust-streaked relics lifted from desert scrapyards, and even repurposed freighters mounting rail guns on their hulls. Humanity was emptying every vault, every bunker, every dream. Behind him, Admiral Tessa Yuan entered, holding a tablet that pulsed with red alerts. "They hit Europa base," she said quietly. "Casualties? 87,000. No survivors." Rourke's jaw tightened, but he didn't flinch. "They want to break morale." "It's working," Yuan replied. "Colonies are panicking. Half of Luna Command wants to surrender before the Concordium reaches Mars orbit." Rourke turned. His eyes, tired, sunken, but burning, met hers. "Then they'll have to panic after we win something." He tapped the map hovering between them, a digital solar system filled with threat icons. "They'll move next on Mars. They need it for fuel and staging. If we can stall them there, we buy Earth 5 more days." 5 days isn't a war, Rourke. It's enough to make them bleed. The first skirmish. Hours later, in the crimson skies above Mars, Rourke's plan began. The Resolute led a small strike group, Vigilant, Arc Spear, Nomad, all aging ships painted in fresh war colors. They lurked behind the moon Phobos, waiting for the Concordium vanguard to enter orbit. The alien fleet appeared as black daggers against the red dust, their weapons humming with light older than Earth's civilizations. "Contact confirmed," Lieutenant Duval said from her console. 14 cruisers. 2 carriers. "And us," Rourke said. 4 ships. "Feels even." Duval gave a short, humorless laugh. "Sir, our odds?" "Don't tell me. Just make them regret coming here." Operation Mirage. The plan was simple, too simple for alien minds that expected symmetry and order. Rourke's engineers had reprogrammed mining drones into decoys, painting them in human Navy colors and outfitting them with transponders mimicking dreadnought signatures. Thousands of them now drifted across Mars orbit, giving the illusion of a full fleet. When the Concordium scanned the field, their sensors screamed, hundreds of false signatures. Confusion rippled through their ranks. "They're hesitating," Duval reported. "Good," Rourke said. "Let's make hesitation hurt." The Resolute broke cover, engines flaring white-hot, streaking toward the nearest alien ship. Railguns thundered. The rounds hit at relativistic speed, slamming into shields, overloading them, turning armor into molten vapor. Alien counterfire lanced across the void, slicing through decoys and scattering debris like snow. 2 enemy cruisers maneuvering to flank. "Rotate shield polarity," Rourke barked. "Use the debris to mask our signature." The ship groaned under pressure. On screens, the ghostly outline of Mars loomed larger. Then Rourke gave the order that would echo in human history. "Cut main thrusters. Go dark." Every light on the Resolute died. The warship drifted silently, heat dampers flaring to absolute zero. In the confusion, the Concordium lost visual lock. Rourke whispered, "No," and Duval triggered the minefield. Dozens of dormant satellites, old relics of Mars' terraforming days, came alive, their cores detonating in synchronized fury. The explosion chain ripped through 3 alien vessels, each engulfed in a sphere of burning plasma. Targets eliminated! Signal all ships, Rourke said. Fade and scatter. They'll be looking for us now. Back on Earth. In Geneva, the footage streamed live across every continent. Humanity watched the impossible, their outmatched fleet turning predators into wreckage. On the rooftops of Nairobi, children cheered. In the frozen night of Siberia, miners raised fists toward the auroras. President Nadir stared at the broadcasts in silence. He's actually doing it, she murmured. Beside her, her advisor whispered, Do you think we can win? She exhaled slowly. Winning doesn't matter. Standing does. Aftermath. Hours later, aboard the Resolute, smoke curled through the corridors. Systems were failing, coolant leaks, broken hull plating, fried reactors. The battle was won, but the cost was bleeding from every console. Damage report, Rourke said. Severe, sir. We can't make full warp. Then we drift home. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the dim lights flickering across the bridge. For the first time, the weight pressed in, the faces of the dead, the silence between heartbeats. They'll come harder next time, Duval said. They should, Rourke replied. Because if they don't, I'll come for them. She looked at him, studying the calm ferocity in his voice. You really think humans can win this? Rourke's lips twitched into a faint smile. No, he said. But I think we can make them afraid. And that's the start of victory. Meanwhile, Concordium War Council. Deep aboard the obsidian mantle, Archlord XYR watched the replay of the Mars skirmish. Alien advisors whispered in disbelief. They should have broken, hissed one. They're primitives, spat another. How do they adapt so quickly? XYR raised one clawed hand for silence. His voice came low, deliberate. You misunderstand. They do not adapt. They improvise. Chaos is their element. He stared at the human warships flickering across the screen. Ragged, improvised, defiant. Increase fleet strength. I want Earth's orbit cleansed. No more delays. He turned toward the stars, his expression unreadable. But study them. Their unpredictability must be catalogued. I will not underestimate apes twice. The transmission. On Earth, a final encrypted message came through from Rourke's ship. It played across the ED command centers, every syllable measured calm. This is Commander Rourke. Mars engagement concluded. We lost 5,000, but took down triple that number. We made them bleed. Tell the people of Earth, we're still standing. Prepare for what comes next. Shadows are moving towards Sol. Closing scene. From Neptune to Mercury, human fleets realigned, scarred but alive. Engineers repaired ships with spare metal, old satellites were turned into kinetic mines, and soldiers painted ancient words across their hulls. For Earth. Above the Pacific, orbital defense platforms came online one by one, their blue lights shining like stars reborn. And far beyond Pluto, in the black between systems, alien dreadnoughts gathered, thousands of them. War was coming home. 3 days after the Battle of Mars, the solar system hung under a shadowed calm. But every station, every shipyard, every factory was alive, sparks raining from welders, reactors roaring, human hands turning exhaustion into fury. From his viewport aboard the U.S. Resolute, Commander Elias Rourke watched a field of debris drift past, the remains of both alien and human ships. Each fragment told a story, and every story fueled the next strike. Status report, Rourke said. Engines at 80%. Weapons rearmed. We've scavenged enough alien alloy to patch the hull twice over, replied Lieutenant Duval. Rourke nodded. Good. Then we're ready for the next move. He turned toward Admiral Yuan's incoming hologram, her face sharp in the dim light. Recon drones confirmed it, she said. The Concordium's main armada is regrouping near Saturn. They're constructing an orbital siege ring, probably to blockade Earth's supply lines. They think we'll just sit and wait, Rourke said. You're not suggesting. We hit them first. Yuan frowned. With what fleet, Commander? Half your ships are patched together for museum exhibits. Then we'll make history come alive, he replied with that dangerous grin that had earned him a reputation and a dozen reprimands. Operation Iron Sky. The plan was pure madness, which, to humanity, meant it just might work. The Concordium expected precision, predictable attacks, organized responses. But humans would give them chaos, a symphony of improvisation. Rourke's team had refitted old cargo haulers into EMP barges, their holds crammed with nuclear-driven pulse generators. Civilian miners had converted their asteroid drills into missile pods. Even pleasure yachts were painted black and packed with plasma coils. The fleet called itself Task Force Iron Sky. When Duval briefed the crews, someone in the back muttered, "We're going to war in scrap metal." She smiled grimly. "Then we'll remind them what scrap metal can do." Approach to Saturn. The human flotilla emerged from the dark side of Titan's orbit, using Saturn's magnetic field to mask their signatures. Rourke leaned forward over the holographic table, tracing the orbit lines. "Their formation's tight," he said. "Perfect for a strike." "What's the signal to start?" asked Duval. "When they think we're running." The Resolute coasted through the shadowed rings, glittering dust sweeping past the hull like a slow, golden storm. Beyond, alien warships glowed, sleek, cold, and perfect. "They haven't spotted us yet," Duval whispered. "They will," Rourke said. "We'll make sure of it." He keyed the transmission array and sent out a false distress beacon, an old Earth trick. The alien sensors caught it instantly. "Sir, they're diverting a patrol wing," said Duval. "Perfect," Rourke replied. "Now we give them the show." The ambush. The Concordium cruisers glided toward the distress signal, their weapons armed. But as they drew closer, their sensors began to distort. Static crawled across their screens. Energy readings spiked. Then the Resolute's EMP barges detonated. A wave of blinding light burst through the void, invisible to human eyes but catastrophic to alien systems. The Concordium ships convulsed as their shields flickered, engines died, and control vanished. In that one perfect second of confusion, humanity struck. "All ships fire at will!" Rourke shouted. The silence of space exploded with motion. Rail guns fired like thunder. Kinetic shells sliced through the void, shattering disabled cruisers into clouds of molten shards. Human pilots dove between the wrecks, weaving through laser fire. One pilot's voice crackled over comms. "They're blind, Commander! They can't see us!" "Then let's make sure they remember us," Rourke growled. The Resolute charged straight through the chaos, slamming volleys of plasma rounds into the heart of the alien formation. For once, the Concordium was unprepared. Their perfect formation disintegrated under an imperfect assault, a human hallmark. Concordium Command, the shock. On the obsidian mantle, Archlord Xyr watched his tactical feed collapse into static. "What is this?" he hissed. His chief strategist replied, panic edging his voice. "They're using electromagnetic pulses, ancient technology. Crude, unpredictable. Effective," Xyr finished. His claws dug into the command rail. "Reconfigure the shield harmonics. Adapt now!" But it was too late. By the time his reinforcements stabilized, half the forward fleet was gone, crippled, burning, or dead. Xyr leaned back, his expression a storm. "They are not a civilization," he whispered. "They are a contagion that thrives in disorder." He stared at the chaos spreading across his display. "Very well. If they love chaos, let us drown them in fire." The human line. Back aboard the Resolute, alarms blared. The Concordium's second wave had arrived, a fleet 5 times the size of Rourke's entire task force. "They've brought everything," Duval said. "Good," Rourke muttered. "Now they're all in one place." "Sir? Call up the Helios satellites." Yuan's voice broke through the comlink. "Rourke, those are prototypes. We haven't tested the orbital beams yet." "Then this is our test." The Helios Array, Earth's secret defense project, had been a rumor even among human ranks. Solar-powered satellites that could concentrate sunlight into focused plasma beams. Rourke transmitted new coordinates to Earth. "Aim the array at Saturn's upper rings," he ordered. "When I say now, light them up." The sky ignites. As the alien fleet closed in, Rourke's damaged ships held the line. One by one, their reactors overloaded, exploding into miniature suns. "We've lost the Nomad! Keep firing!" "Sir, we can't hold much longer." "Then die standing!" Rourke shouted. And then, the sky burned. A shaft of light, brighter than dawn, lanced down from high orbit. It struck Saturn's rings, vaporizing trillions of particles into a blinding cascade. The shockwave ripped outward, slamming into the Concordium fleet like the wrath of a star. Alien vessels shattered. Those that survived lost formation entirely. Their once perfect armada became a storm of tumbling wrecks. "Direct hit!" Duval cried. "That," Rourke said through clenched teeth, "is human innovation." Aftermath. When the dust settled, Saturn's once beautiful rings had become a glowing scar, and within it floated fragments of what had been the mightiest fleet in Concordium history. The Resolute drifted among the debris. Fires burned along her hull, oxygen leaking into the void. Inside, the crew moved like ghosts, exhausted, triumphant, alive. "Casualties?" Rourke asked. 40%, Duval replied softly. "But the Concordium lost 10 times that." He closed his eyes for a moment. "Then they'll remember this day. The day humans turned Saturn into a weapon." Final scene, the broadcast. Later that night, Rourke recorded a message to Earth. His voice was hoarse but steady. "To all human colonies, we've held Saturn. The Concordium has been repelled. They thought they understood war. They didn't understand us. We fight not because we believe we can win, but because surrender was never an option. The iron sky holds." Concordium Command, XYRR's realization. Far away, in the cold darkness of the flagship, Archlord XYRR replayed the footage. He watched the light consuming his ships, the madness of human defiance. "They are a species that fights extinction with creativity," he murmured. "This is dangerous." He turned to his officers. "Prepare Phase 2. If they will not yield, we end this in one strike, at their homeworld." His eyes narrowed. "Set course for Earth." When the transmission from the astral shield finally cut through the static, it wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't a plea for help, nor the sound of battle. It was a human voice, calm, almost amused. "Control, this is Captain Rhea Myles. You might want to keep your recorders running. The Council's going to want proof of this." The command deck of Earth's defense network fell silent. On every screen, the holographic feed stabilized, showing Rhea standing amidst the ruins of what had been the Karth Dominion's command nexus. Behind her, alien corpses floated in microgravity, armor torn open by kinetic rounds that still smoked faintly in the void. "Rhea, this is Control," came the operator's trembling voice. "What's your status? The Dominion fleet, what happened to them?" Rhea turned her visor toward the camera. Through the polarized glass, the faint glint of her eyes shone like twin embers. "They declared a holy purge. Said humanity's defiance offended their gods. So I introduced them to ours." She lifted her gauntlet. The metal fingers gleamed, smeared in alien blood. Behind her, the remains of a massive alien dreadnought drifted, its hull still glowing with molten fissures. The Karth fleet had numbered over 600 warships. None remained intact. Far above the wreckage, the orbital debris field shimmered like a second dawn. Human cruisers, patched, retrofitted, never meant to fight alone, hovered in disciplined silence. Each bore the mark of the Void Guard, the unofficial title humanity's scattered defenders had adopted when the Council abandoned them. The comms officer whispered, "We're picking up signals, Captain. Karth lifeboats. Survivors." Rhea's expression hardened. "Transmit the standard line." A pause. Then the officer replied grimly, "Message sent, you attacked farmers. Earth responds in kind. Across the galaxy, the Council chambers descended into panic. Footage of the battle leaked through the galactic net, and every species saw what humans had done. The Karth Dominion had ruled that quadrant for 4 centuries. Entire civilizations had been enslaved under their dominion. Yet one human fleet, 27 ships, half of them centuries old, had obliterated their armada in a single coordinated strike. Ambassador Silas of the Ardent Collective spoke first, voice quivering. "This is madness. They were supposed to be contained. Their weapon protocols were sealed after the Soul riots." From the shadows, a low, gravelly voice replied, "You should have remembered who designed those seals. It was Admiral Terran of the Old Guard, one of the few aliens who had fought with humans in the Great Frontier War." He leaned forward, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "You let them rot on the edge of known space. You ignored their warnings, their treaties, their patience. And now—" He motioned to the hologram of Rhea standing over a field of alien wrecks. "Now they remember who they are." On board the Astral Shield, the crew gathered as the final reports came in. Not a single Karth transmission remained active. No distress beacons. No retreat coordinates. Engineer Lee folded his arms. "We did it. We actually did it." Rhea didn't smile. "No. We survived it. There's a difference." The ship's AI flickered to life, a calm female voice, centuries old, carrying the tone of a historian. "Captain, new signal detected. Origin Council Core. They've issued a demand: cease operations and surrender for investigation." Rhea stared into the darkness of the bridge. "They want us to kneel after saving their borders?" "Affirmative," the AI confirmed. "Council Protocol 19B, unregistered escalation." A silence stretched, then the captain's voice turned cold as steel. "Transmit this response: humanity kneels to none. We don't need the Council's permission to defend ourselves." The AI hesitated. "Captain, such defiance may mark Earth as a rogue state. Then they'll finally call us what we've always been," Rhea replied. "Free." The human fleet vanished into slip space soon after, their jump signatures scattering across dozens of systems. The Council tried to track them, but every attempt failed. The Voiguard operated like ghosts, hitting slaver fleets, tearing down outposts, freeing colonies long thought lost. And everywhere they struck, a single transmission followed in their wake. "You killed 63 human farmers. We remember their names." That line became a rallying cry. Colonies began painting it across hulls, onto banners, into the stars themselves. It wasn't just vengeance, it was justice carried in human hands. Months later, as the galaxy reeled, a mysterious signal appeared on the galactic net. Encrypted, untraceable. It wasn't from the Council. It wasn't from any known military. It was from Earth itself. A woman's voice, Rhea's, spoke clearly through the static. "To those who still call us savages, we offer peace. To those who enslaved our kin, we offer memory. And to those who would raise arms against our home." A pause. The faint hum of reactor cores filled the silence. "We offer silence." The feed cut. Across thousands of worlds, alien leaders shivered. The Dominion was gone. The Council's fleets hesitated to move. And somewhere beyond the rim, human warships drifted unseen, waiting. The galaxy called it peace. Humans called it the calm before judgment. For months after the fall of the Karth Dominion, the stars remained eerily quiet. The Galactic Council spoke in careful tones, publicly denouncing the violence, privately trembling at the thought of another human fleet emerging from the void. Trade resumed. Borders reopened. Yet every species felt it, an unease that crept through the corridors of power like a whisper in a storm. "They've gone dark," said Counselor Shira of the Nethran Accord, tapping her claws on the holotable. "No transmissions. No demands. No diplomacy. They simply vanished." Admiral Catil of the Ardent Collective replied grimly. "No species that disappears does so without purpose." And then, as if summoned by those words, a faint signal echoed across the subspace bands: "Origin unknown, untraceable, but undeniably human. It carried just one sentence. You forgot what silence means. On Earth, beneath the rust-red skies of New Geneva, a lone figure stood atop the ruins of the old United Fleet Academy. Captain Rhea Myles stared out over the cityscape, its towers rebuilt from scrap, its people restless yet resolute. Humanity had changed. The Council's sanctions had isolated them, yes, but isolation forged something harder than steel. The colonies that survived the Dominion's purge had banded together. The outposts left to die had built their own fleets. The forgotten soldiers of a dozen wars had sworn a new oath, not to the Council, but to Earth itself. They called it the Vigilant Accord. Every human, from Mars miners to Jovian rangers, knew what it meant: no human left defenseless again. Rhea activated her wrist terminal. A hologram flickered to life, showing dozens of fleet insignias orbiting Earth's new flag, a stylized blue circle, fractured through the center, representing the void that had once divided them. All units ready, her comms officer reported. We've received word from the colonies. The signal reached them all. Even Titan responded. Rhea nodded. Then the galaxy will hear us next. In the deep sectors of space, ancient outposts long believed abandoned flickered back to life. Automated shipyards spun up reactors that hadn't burned in centuries. Code fragments from pre-Council Earth began rewriting themselves into living systems. And above it all, a colossal vessel, so vast it eclipsed its own moon, awoke. Designation: HSS Helios Prime. Built in secret. Hidden since the First Contact Wars. When the Council stripped Earth of its war rights, the Helios was never decommissioned. It had been buried beneath the ice of Enceladus, forgotten by all but a handful of engineers who swore an oath to one day return it to the stars. Now, its engines roared to life. The sound alone fractured the moon's crust. Inside its command bridge, Captain Rhea stood before the observation deck, watching the first sunrise in centuries reflect across its armor plating, black as obsidian, marked only with the white insignia of an open hand. Activate the broadcast, she ordered. A technician turned nervous. Ma'am, once this goes out, there's no coming back. Rhea's eyes hardened. We never left. Across the galaxy, communication hubs flared to life as an encrypted human transmission hijacked every open channel, from military networks to civilian relays. Aliens of every species looked up from their work, stunned as the hologram appeared before them. A human woman in a black uniform, standing before a field of stars. To the Galactic Council and all who still cling to its decaying order, she began. For generations you treated humanity as a tool. A pawn. A species to regulate, to fear, to silence. You thought our compassion was weakness. You mistook our patience for submission. She paused, gaze unflinching. You called us monsters when we defended ourselves. You called us tyrants when we refused to bow. Yet it was not humanity that enslaved half the spiral, nor humanity that burned the border worlds. Her voice sharpened. You killed 63 farmers. That was your mistake. You woke something older than fear. Behind her, the Helios Prime rotated into view, massive enough to blot out a planet, its weapon arrays glinting like constellations of fire. From this day forward, humanity is no longer a participant in your council. We are not your allies. We are not your enemies. We are your reminder that peace without honor is just another kind of slavery. Her final words struck like a hammer. If you seek war, come find us. But if you seek truth, listen to the silence between our words. That's where humanity lives. The feed ended. In the aftermath, chaos swept the stars. Entire fleets stood down, unwilling to risk provoking Earth. Others panicked, racing to form alliances to contain the Terran resurgence. But deep down, every admiral, every governor, every frightened diplomat knew the truth. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was awake again. And somewhere beyond known space, in the dark void between galaxies, the Helios Prime led an armada into the black, its engines burning with the fury of a species that had endured everything, forgotten nothing, and forgiven no one. Final line. The galaxy thought we wanted peace. What we really wanted was freedom. And we built it from fire. Call to action, the Void Narratives. At the Void Narratives, we don't tell stories about perfect heroes or silent victims. We tell the truth of humanity, defiant, relentless, unbroken. If you felt the fire of Rhea's last broadcast, subscribe to the Void Narratives. Because humanity's war isn't over, it's just gone quiet.